Since 1979, Nickelodeon has been a huge part of children's programming, but I think most people can agree that, much like the Disney Channel, Nickelodeon is definitely a shadow of its former self, and it's definitely not as great as it used to be due to the fact that the network has made an abundance of mistakes throughout the past few years. Whether it comes to having some of their current shows overstay its welcome, shows that just come off to be super stale and lame, passing on great shows like Adventure Time, which could have been a huge game changer for the network, and most importantly, losing Dan Schneider, aka the man who created most, if not all, the great Nickelodeon sitcoms in the past. So with all this, definitely makes it clear that Nickelodeon has gone so far downhill to the point where Cartoon Network has been destroying them in the ratings for the past several years. But there was a time when Nickelodeon was a force to be reckoned with, when they were absolutely kicking ass back in the 90s and the early 2000s, especially when it came to producing a variety of amazing shows, from cartoons like Rugrats and even memorable sitcoms like Kenan and Kel.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Don't hurt me! Hey, he does.
To celebrate the network's 40-year legacy, I'll be ranking what I think are the top 5 best and worst Nickelodeon shows of all time. Now, as always, before I start this list, here are some honorable and dishonorable mentions. For honorable mentions, Rugrats, Hey Arnold, All That, Fairly Odd Parents, and iCarly. And for dishonorable mentions, Tally in the Kitchen, Marvin, Sanjay and Craig, Awesomeness TV, and Nick Studio 10. So without further ado, let's get started with the worst. Starting at number 5, Planet Sheen. After Jimmy Neutron came to an end, the Nickelodeon executives decided to promote the spin-off series Planet Sheen, with Sheen Estevez as the main character. And if anybody who remembers watching Jimmy Neutron should know that Sheen by far was the most aggravating character on the show. But the good thing is, at least he had less screen time there. But when you decide to give him his own show and you have to spend 25 pissing minutes just listening to his aggravating voice, that's how you can tell that the show was bound to fail from the start.
That makes absolutely no sense.
Or does it?
No.
Or does it?
No.
Or does it?
The show was super stale, annoying, and the storylines and characters were just absolutely super dull, which definitely makes Planet Sheen to be a very skippable show. I suggest y'all just stick to Jimmy Neutron. Coming at number 4, Dora the Explorer. Now, I'm pretty sure, like most people, I used to love this show as a toddler, but as time went on, I've come to realize that Dora is just absolutely a stupid-ass show. It's understandable why the show is stupid, because, you know, it helps younger children learn, and that's fine, but that's still no excuse from the show being dumb as fuck. Pretty much this show is just about a 6-7-year-old bitch named Dora who gets to go wherever the fuck she wants, whenever the fuck she wants, and her parents don't even give a shit. Like, seriously, Dora's parents are the worst, because they let their 6-7-year-old bitch-ass daughter go to deserts, go to forests, barns, mountains, and etc, etc. Like, when I was a kid, I couldn't even leave the house unless if I was somewhere near the house, whether it's the front yard, backyard, or unless if I was going somewhere with them, because trust me, I grew up with very strict parents. Not to mention the fact that Dora's dumbass be asking you stupid shit like this.
And you're gonna have to remember your name, too. What's your name?
My name's Micah.
Tell her your name.
Bitch, I just told her my damn name.
Great.
Thanks, Cheshire Cat.
What the hell? But all I'm trying to say is, fuck Dora the Explorer. Number 3, Fanboy and Chum Chum. The show was loud, annoying, gross, and it was just plain stupid. Plus the design and the animation of the show just looks so ugly, and it's just god awful. But all I'm trying to say is, Fanboy and Chum Chum absolutely sucked, and it's definitely worth the skip. Number 2, Breadwinners. Okay, this just goes from bad to worse. Fanboy and Chum Chum was shit. But fucking hell, Breadwinners is 1,000 times worse. When this show came out, it was very clear that Nickelodeon lost their damn minds, because this show was the example of pure stupidity at its finest. It was just all about 2 obnoxious ass ducks who do nothing but deliver bread, making corny fart jokes, and just shaking their ass a majority of the time.
Big baby buns, shake those big baby buns.
Like, just why? Even to this very day, it still absurds me that the show went on for 2 pissing years. Whoever thought that was a good idea, you deserve to be pimp slapped 1,000 times. So to all of y'all who's watching this right now, I beg you, do not watch this show at all. I was close to making this number 1, but nope, that would be number 1, Fred the Show.
Which means it's Fred Day, which means it's time for Fred the Show! Right now on Nick!
Fucking hell, this brings back so much bad memories, man. Now look, Lucas Crookshank seems like a real nice guy in real life. I really don't want to shit on him or anything, but his character Fred Figglehorn, My god, his voice was just the most aggravating shit I've ever heard in my life. I mean, seriously, just me listening to his little squealy voice was just like the equivalent of me listening to somebody scratch a plate with a fork, which is so annoying.
Shut the fuck up!
You even had the first movie to the show, which received a 0% rating from Rotten Tomatoes, which does seem pretty harsh on paper, but very understandable when you think about it, because it's Fred. For some particular reason, Nickelodeon decided to pick up Lucas Cruikshank's YouTube creation and bring it to the big screen to the dismay and disappointment of many others. With this show bombing so badly and being so ruthlessly panned by critics, it was pulled off the air after one season, and thankfully it did. So with all that being said, Fred the Show is definitely, undoubtedly, Nickelodeon's worst show of all time. Now, since we reviewed the worst, let's move on to the best. Starting at number 5, Invader Zim. Now, I'll never forget how truly terrified I was of this show because of how disturbingly dark it was. But the way how the show superbly blended sci-fi, comedy, and action all into one is definitely what made Invader Zim such a pure delight. The show is about a young alien named Zim who's bent on conquering Earth, who fails at it every time. You also had other supporting characters from his human rival Dib and his dim-witted robot servant Gur.
I'm not going to eat that. Enough!
Invader Zim was actually made for young teenagers and older children, but after the show was heavily criticized by parents due to its violent and gross depiction, Nickelodeon had no choice but to cancel it. But even years after that, you can tell that Invader Zim is definitely one of the most impactful animated shows of the 2000s because of the way it has influenced future shows like Adventure Time, Regular Show, and most importantly, Steven Universe. While the show was very controversial, but there's no denying that Invader Zim is definitely a cult classic show. Number 4, Danny Phantom. Now, I fucking love this show, and it was definitely ahead of its time, and in my opinion, it's definitely way better than Fairly Odd Parents. I mean, seriously, from the catchy-ass theme song.
When he first woke up, he realized he had snow white hair and glowing green eyes. He could walk through walls, disappear, and fly.
Damn, I swear that never gets old. The way how the show just had a great combination of a superhero and ghost story was just so infinitely rad. The show follows a teenage boy named Danny who turns into a hybrid ghost, and with the power he gets, it's up to him to save the world from ghost attacks. Whether it came to the creativity, the innovation, or how relatable the show was, the one thing I absolutely adored about this show is the way how it shows you that being different and unique is actually a good thing. Well, it still kind of pisses me off that Nickelodeon canceled this show after 3 seasons when it was supposed to go on for 4, but I'm glad that this show definitely had a great run. Hopefully one day Nickelodeon will realize that they were dumb for canceling one of their best shows. Number 3, Drake and Josh. Not only was this Nickelodeon's most popular TV show, but it also was Nickelodeon's most highest rated sitcom. After showing off their comedic chops on The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh were granted their own sitcom by the series creator Dan Schneider, who happens to be the producer of the hit TV show All That. The two actors play stepbrothers who move in with each other. First you had Drake playing the very cocky cool one who always gets the girls.
What was that for?
I won a contest.
Yay.
And with Josh, you had the smart but very awkward one who overreacts to everything.
It's so wonderful you're married, right? She was your girlfriend? You too, uninvited.
Plus, there were other characters from their evil sister Megan.
Okay, that was good revenge.
Crazy Steve.
Come on, Dora! You're the one with the map! Don't ask me!
But out of all the characters, Helen, hands down, was my absolute favorite. Because it was always super funny the way how she absolutely adores Drake, but yet always craps on Josh, even despite the hard work he always puts for her.
Hey! Helen! Hug me till I pop! Thank you so much.
Put your arms down, fool.
What I really loved about Drake and Josh is the way how these two always brought this super positive energy to the big screen. And while they did seem like a very odd couple, but the chemistry these two had was so undeniable. Plus the show just felt genuinely funny because of the clever jokes, the smart writing, and the comical timing was just so perfectly executed. It's just a shame they don't make sitcoms like this anymore. Dan Schneider has also created other great sitcoms on Nickelodeon, from Kenan and Kel, The Amanda Show, iCarly, Victorious, but out of all of them, Drake and Josh is hands down his sitcom apex, which is why it's definitely Nickelodeon's best sitcom to date. Number 2, SpongeBob SquarePants. Now, I gotta be 100% honest with y'all. SpongeBob for me got super annoying over the past few years, and honestly, I don't even like watching the show anymore. However, despite all that, I can't deny that SpongeBob is definitely one of the most iconic characters, not just based on Nickelodeon, but in cartoon history as well. Out of all the Nickelodeon shows, none of them have had the cultural impact, the longevity, and the timeless humor that SpongeBob SquarePants has had. Because if I'm being honest, SpongeBob SquarePants is pretty much Nickelodeon's golden child. With this show being created way back in 1999 by the late Steven Hillenburg, rest in peace, it's about a young talking sponge named SpongeBob SquarePants who lives in a pineapple under the sea, of course. While he may be the shining star of the show, other supporting characters, from his dim-witted best buddy Patrick, his aquatic squirrel friend Sandy Cheeks, to his pet snail Gary, his cheapskate boss Mr. Krabs, and his grumpy neighbor Squidward, are no slouches at all.
I need four ply when I cry. Huh.
Even though it's a damn shame that modern day SpongeBob has definitely lost touch with its roots due to the fact that when the movie was released during season 4, that's where I feel like the show took a huge nosedive considering the fact that the original writers left. But the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob were so unforgettable because that's when the show was at its peak. While I do believe that the show has definitely run its course, especially with its 20-year tenure, but there's no denying that SpongeBob SquarePants is definitely Nickelodeon's most undisputed show to date. And number 1, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, this show was just an absolute masterpiece, and in my opinion, it's Nickelodeon's greatest achievement to date. With this show being backed up from its beautiful animation and top-notch storytelling, this show pretty much had all the key elements of always getting you intrigued with it. The storylines were excellent, the action sequences were absolutely breathtaking, plus the show was just full of tremendous characters. From the main protagonist Aang, Toph, Uncle Iroh, and the best one of them all, Zuko, who started off as the show's main antagonist. Throughout the series, his main agenda was to abduct the Avatar to restore his father's honor. But with the guidance of his Uncle Iroh, Zuko overcomes the hardships and learns how to become a better person throughout the series, which definitely makes him such a likable character. Plus, it was also great to see how him and Aang transitioned from being bitter enemies to being very good friends in the end of the series. Plus, the show also proved that it can be very funny as well.
Well, hello. Zuko, yes, why would I be expecting anyone different?
The show also gave us the spin-off series Legend of Korra, which was very superb, but the way how Nickelodeon horribly utilized the show was just so frustrating. But anyways, with that being said, Avatar: The Last Airbender, in my opinion, is hands down Nickelodeon's greatest show of all time. So, was there anything I missed? Feel free to comment down below to share your thoughts of what is the best and worst Nickelodeon show of all time in your opinion. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for weekly videos. I'm your boy Micah J, and peace.